Hello and welcome. I'm Zilla.
I'm Tortoise.
And welcome to Ancient Gaming, the stream where we play ancient video games with ancient studies content and I talk about it. As you can see, today I'm in casual mode, or as I usually call it, schlumph. So I'm a little bit off my game, but I still wanted to stream. Especially since I was not up to it last week. I am sorry about that. Just some background for those of you who follow along. We are in the process of moving, and I am having some minor health difficulties. So that's why the schedule has been a little erratic. But soon, we hope to have a more smooth internet connection for the streaming. So, we'll find out. Hi, for those of you who are new, that's an odd introduction, but hi, welcome. We are playing Hades 2. We are fairly far into the game at this point. Tortoise is playing, and I am chatting. If you don't want to be spoiled, you can always go back and watch all of my recordings up to this point. They are all available on my YouTube channel, which is in the frame for you to see right now. And if you are watching on YouTube, hi, feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear from you. Really, if you're here live, we would love to hear from you in chat. That's always exciting. So, welcome. I am going to catch us up a little bit just for in case anybody is joining us fresh and doesn't mind being spoiled. So in Hades 2, we are playing as Melinoe, the daughter of the Greek underworld royalty, Hades and Persephone, and our grandfather, the Titan Kronos, who is the Titan of Time in this version, has taken over the underworld and is holding Melinoe's family captive, so she is fighting to free them and the underworld from his influence. Meanwhile, Kronos is also sending his minions and the freed monster from the beginning of the world, Typhon, up to capture Olympus, place where the rest of his traitorous children are holding sway as the Olympian gods. So we are fighting both up and down in pursuit of an end to this struggle, but as the game likes to remind us, time cannot be stopped exactly. So, here we go. So, we have, just in our previous run, if you've been following along, we had a great battle with Typhon, and we did, in fact, beat him back from the summit.
Which means we have this entourage of shades who are, I guess, big fans.
Yeah, and they're little tiny shades, which is interesting, because those are the kind of shades that pop up from, like, the corpses of sheep. So here we are looking at various prophecies from the Fates. And they have prophesied a number of things that we would do.
My sisters told me of a certain prophecy you and I thought would never come to pass. That Olympus would once again face the fury of the fallen war monsters, and their conflict would shake the world to its core. And now it's happening.
And Moros is speaking of the Fates there.
Unless you declare us in awakening the most notorious being in the cult of the faith.
Yeah, no, that's not his fault.
Nonsense. Kronos did this, not you.
And for those of you out there who are inclined to blame themselves for everything that goes wrong because you had free will, yeah, that is generally not how it works.
He's much, much smarter than any other fellow I've faced, but that doesn't make him invincible. I suspected he'd have a difficult time contending with a small, quick adversary.
Commend you for the outcome that I was so utterly aghast. Other old monsters may not be quite so easy to surprise when you confront him again.
Do not take unnecessary risks.
That use of air is incorrect. It's bothering me. Air means before. What are you talking about?
Duty was a must.
It is interesting that Hecate is opposed to her fighting Typhon. I mean, Typhon is in Hesiod's Theogony, where the fight with Typhon, the original fight with Typhon, is most lovingly described. You know, he's a beast with 100 snakes for legs, and is a match for Zeus. Basically, Zeus and he battle 1-on-1, and it's so fierce that it melts the surface of the earth. And when they finally imprison him in the depths of Erebus, it is kind of, implied, like, these are immortal monsters. He could rise again. You never know. So it makes sense as a plot point for if we're having Kronos, who was cut up and scattered across the realm of Erebus, which...
I thought it was Tartarus.
Was it Tartarus in this game?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's not...
Whatever.
Yeah, it's... The Sparagmos of Kronos is not exactly canon to Greek myth, in as much as things are canon to Greek myth. Sparagmos being the cutting up of the body, which is actually common enough in Greek myth to have its own name. Like, having that happen to Dionysus in the Orphic myths? Absolutely. Having it happen to Orpheus? Absolutely. Having the Bacchae, the followers of Dionysus, do it to various people throughout mythology? Absolutely. Having it happen to Kronos? Not a telling, I've heard. But in this version, he was cut up into pieces and scattered through the depths, and he reassembled himself slowly over the ages, in the secret. And so, yeah, of course he's gonna wake up whatever monsters he can get his hands on. Why wouldn't he? Typhon is hardly the only one down there. There are other monsters that were chained beneath the earth. This is actually one of the explanations for volcanoes, is monsters deep beneath the earth. Sorry, am I stopping you?
No way of knowing how much life this Typhon has. Just have to slay him anyway.
Yeah.
Come night, reveal the treasures of this realm.
So,
I don't particularly care about that incantation. Although I might do this, just so I can, since we're in the process of recruiting familiars.
lovely depiction of Charon.
It is quite enormous, yes.
I like to imagine that, like, the translation of there was just large. Although, really, I like to imagine that the translation was, like, 14 lines of poetic meter about how large Typhon is.
Going in dactylic hexameter.
Exactly.
Dust.
Speaking of reciting poetic meter and streaming, on Midsummer, the 21st of June, there will be an Odd Body Players production of Midsummer Night's Dream, which I will be performing in. Follow me on socials if you want more details.
What I'd like to do is keep hitting you with all my might. I'd hope that with Zeus also struck a part of lightning bolts. Eventually it worked, and Typhon fell. What are promises?
Odysseus, of course, the king not only of Ithaca, but of weaving fantastic yarns. The story of the Odyssey is set up such that, like, basically all of the wacky adventures and supernatural happenings are dubious claims, shall we say.
What's this?
What can
I do actually like that that Malinoe is specifically not very good at storytelling. It gives her a bit of personality that she, I feel, otherwise kind of lacks. And she's so serious that she's kind of flat. So, you know, her sort of telling us that, you know, narration isn't her strong suit sort of lends a background to that flatness that makes it a little bit more endearing. One of the ways to view the narrative in Hades and Hades 2 is that it is being told to us by the people who are the main characters, Zagreus and Malinoe. And so here everything is a bit more straightforward, and that makes a little bit of sense, right? It's fun to think about who might be telling us the story, and it can be quite instructive. There's a concept that we use in discussing, particularly ancient texts, but, you know, it certainly applies to modern literature, is sort of the narrative eye, where you'll have a poem, for instance, written from a first-person perspective, but is it necessarily meaning to be the poet, or is it I, the character of the poem, right? So, like in modern Japanese literature, you have a whole genre called the I novel that is about there being a narrative I, and not necessarily referring to the author. Just a, you know, literary analysis technique that I don't know if people have necessarily heard of.
Alright.
Down we go.
Yeah, since we just defeated Typhon, might as well
Let's go beat up
Scour
Grandpa.
the underworld.
Oh. Have we met Ares before?
No.
Alright, so I'm going to want to pause on him. So, Ares was much more prominent in the first Hades game because he wasn't actually busy at war. Right now, he is somewhat busy up on Olympus as the god of war. You know, when we talk about Ares in modern stories, we often make him out to be some kind of villain because we don't like war. We think it's bad. But that isn't a universal value, and for a lot of ancient Greek city-states, war was a virtue. And even though we think of, you know, if you have to go to war, you want to be clever like Athena, you know, she's more defensive, and in a lot of places, not even really about war at all. It was a very Athenian point of view. So Ares and his counterpart in Rome, Mars, were actually very highly worshipped, just like any other god, and very well respected. And many a warrior, many a, you know, the much revered Spartans and Romans really did pray to this god and seek his blessings. So I want to talk about his design a little bit here. I love that his hands are just absolutely coated in blood. It's so appropriate. It does make me think of Mars a little bit more than Ares in terms of iconography. If you ever watch, you know, any like depiction of like Roman triumphs or anything with sacrifices in it, you'll see that the blood of the sacrifice and like painting your face with blood and all of that is very much connected as a visible symbol of victory and prowess and power, and connection to the divine. So having him be quite literally red-handed here is amazing. He has 2 swords across his back, which is completely impractical, but I guess he's a god, he can do what he wants. And a dagger in his hands. Not a super common setup for a Greek warrior. You tend to see them with 1 sword, 1 very large shield, which I don't see here at all.
It might be resting behind the helmet.
Maybe? It's a little unclear. That just kind of looks like his cloak to me.
You think?
I'm not sure. It's a little unclear to me.
I thought it was like a tower shield resting at an angle, but whatever.
Tower shields are also not Greek. Those are Roman. You would expect him to have a hoplite shield, which are almost figure 8-like in shape, or a round shield. And the usual weapon layout would be 1 sword at the hip, a number of javelins perhaps at the back. That would be pretty common, or perhaps a spear. A sword, spear, javelins, those are your typical Greek weapons. Certainly you could have a bow, although people who are primarily archers are often considered less powerful. Were you going to say something?
No.
Sorry. I did also notice that as we sit here, there was a blood drop coming off his middle finger, which I adore. Nice touch. So that's for the weaponry. As for his armor, there is definitely some serious Greek shape to that helmet there. The nose piece. it doesn't have a particular crest, which is actually more usual. You know, when we think of Greek helmets, we tend to think of the Corinthian helm with the crest, but that is, as you might note, Corinthian, and Corinth being the city on the isthmus. Oops. Now, he does very prominently have greaves, and greaves were very important as pieces of Greek armor. So that's the shin covering piece. And those are often actually highly decorated. His armor is, it's a little stark, actually, which is interesting. So he's got a sort of black, gold, white theme going, which I suppose is, you know, the divine stuff that we see a lot on Olympus in this game. And then the touches of red because he's Ares. So the body armor is interesting. It's the same kind of armor that we see on Icarus, actually. This is not a usual Greek breastplate. You know, a Greek breastplate is usually carved to, or shaped to mold like the body underneath it for heroic valor. And you might very well see interestingly wrought depictions on top of that, perhaps in the shoulder pieces. He's got a very nice pectoral, although usually that would cover the front as well. And then he's also got the fairly typical baffling skirt, which I can never remember the name for, and a cloak, which is actually fairly usual, especially to mark sort of commanders. The mohawk is completely out of time, but hey, why not, right? It feels very blade-like on him, to me. Like almost chainsaw blade with those little like curls coming up. The little stripe of war paint, that is not necessarily traditional, but it isn't out of place either. And you will see it on Athena as well, I think.
Aphrodite has that as well.
Yeah, you're right, she does.
I'm actually not sure about Athena because in this game I think she doesn't take her helmet off.
I think in the previous game she had it, though. I have this mental image of that design of her with it. I don't know why.
Could very well be.
So a fascinating depiction of Ares, so not only just a little bit odd, a little bit out of time and fantasy-like with those dual over-the-shoulder blades, but also relaxed. Like, this is his happy place. He is at war. And I really do like that, just that big old smile. It's just like, yes. So, a fellow student of death, he says. And I think that's very appropriate. So he's been busy. He's very happy with himself. He's absolutely drenched in the blood of his enemies. And he thinks you've been doing a good job so far. Keep the fight going.
I do not like Ares' boons, unfortunately. Sure.
Aw, Tula. I do love Tula. That's not surprising. Ignium being the name in here for the twin flame torches that have magic fire casts. Note that the spelling of ignium doesn't actually make any sense in Greece. Yeah, so now that I think about it, Demeter has that kind of breastplate too, and I'm not really sure why they went with that style. It's not particularly a style that I recognize. I really should look it up at some point. I'm sure that they're basing it on something, maybe an older Mycenaean style.
Good job, Tula. Oops.
I was involved in a conversation recently with a colleague about colleague was talking about how modern depictions of Ares are always so negative, and this game and Immortals Phoenix Rising were the two that came up where there was a relatively positive depiction. Chaos, chaos, chaos. Yeah, remember that chaos means void, as opposed to cosmos, order. So when we think of the cosmos, it is rooted in chaos, the void, the darkness, and that is reflected in the waters down here of chaos. Now, I don't actually recommend playing Immortals Phoenix Rising. I have a lot of opinions about that. I did try it. I did. Before I realized that it was an Ubisoft game. Please don't play Ubisoft if you can avoid it. They're jerks. They're sexist jerks. But you will get a lot of people, quite rightly, I suppose, exclaiming over the detail that they put into their Assassin's Creed games, in the historical stuff. So Arachne, the best weaver. Spider silk, actually much stronger than silver, but always so thin that even the slightest motion can.
Rest easy now.
The only good spider. I am impressed they managed to make a spider so cute. I really do not like spiders. I know that other people do, but
Where is my kitty?
there's Kitty.
Wake up.
So be kind to Phoenix Rising. It does have some hilarious narration, and it actually uses Greek voice acting, which this game, among others, does not. There's been a lot of discourse lately about the upcoming Odyssey movie, or Thespidus movie, directed by Nolan. Apollo is the god of light, noticing light and darkness. Similarly to chaos being the essence of void, no light at all. So, actually a very interesting pairing. Interestingly compassionate of this Apollo. He's not at all the flighty jerk I tend to think of in this game. But yeah, so Malinois, being a chthonic, an underworld god, was not meant to bear the touch of the sun, and has commented when she made it to the palace on the ferocity of the light. An interesting touch.
You also get that from Zagreus in Hades 1 when he first reaches the surface.
Mm-hmm. I do just want to note there are statues in this setting. These three figures dancing in a ring, very sort of Ring Around the Rosie-ish, and that has been sometimes associated with witchcraft. Of course, you'll definitely see, puritanical crackdowns on children's rhymes, at least as performed by girls. So the two things about Phoenix Rising that I did want to mention are the reasons why I don't recommend it. And the first one is, of course, giving money to misogynistic pricks. And the second is the story of Phoenix Rising has a really just terrible takeaway.
It shows all this promise during the thing, and then sort of ruins it all at the end.
Yeah, it's very dubious. There are things to like about it. There's a lot to dislike about it. I had it recommended to me by a friend who, I wrote an article for my friend Alex and his blog Tidesomen, which means we play, where I was talking about, sort of the potential for historical video game content. And one of the things that I initially said was, imagine Breath of the Wild, but with an ancient Greek hero, and his immediate response was, it exists! And I went and played it, and I was like, does it though? I can see why he said that. No shade, Alex, I love you. Also, Alex, Hades 2 volume of essays when? I'm so in. I want to write this chapter on the mortals of Hades 2.
I'm not using my magic, so Sweeney doesn't make sense. Oh, hello.
Hello, Nemesis. I mean, you are pretty rude.
Ah, so close. Oh, dagnabbit.
She give you an onion.
Yeah. Okay.
Does the onion
Oh, nice.
actually do anything?
It heals you 1 health. Do I care about side? Why not?
And Kronos, of course, being associated directly with gold, but also Charon. But yes, as we get into the underworld proper, it is ridiculously gold encrusted, golden sand everywhere. Oh yes, I was saying the spelling here of ignium doesn't actually make any sense with Latin and Greek. Ignium with an I being the more proper spelling, which would mean a fiery thing in Latin. Yeah, where you see a Y in ancient Greek, in Greek words, ancient Greek pronounces that and that's, we get both U and Y from what was a Greek upsilon. Modern Greek, it's an E sound, but in ancient Greek, it's an U.
Is everything an E sound in modern Greek?
Pretty much. I once had a student from Greece, and I was asked about why do Greek words get spoken like they do, and I turned to him and I said, so how many vowels are pronounced as E in modern Greek? And he's like, oh, 5 of them. Yeah. I think we were talking about the spelling of Eubea, where OE is pronounced as E.
What?
I'm just looking up in a dictionary to see if there are any lesser used Greek words for fire that sound more like ignis, the Latin. But really no. The main words would be pur or flux. Pur being, pretty directly related to our word fire. The P to F shift over the grim shift, and as I said, the upsilon gets changed to an E sound a lot.
But we also use that root in words like pyromaniac and pyre.
Mm-hmm. And pyrrha, or pyros, is also the Greek description for the word for red. And so you'll get, like redheads in ancient Greek described as pira or pyros, because they're fiery haired. I don't quite qualify, I think, with my auburn tresses. But you do get that nickname for instance, Achilles. So Achilles shouldn't be blonde, dang it. Should be a redhead. And having Achilles be non-gender conforming is canon. Remember, he hid for most of his upbringing as a girl.
This way.
Is this where you plug Wrath Goddess Sing?
This is where I plug Wrath Goddess Sing by Maya Dean, an absolutely wonderful take on trans Achilles, and it's so much better the more you know about Greek mythology, because she had such an in-depth understanding of the mythology that she could just like play around with it, and just it's a lot of very deliberate wild nonsense. It's great. Also, I mean, trans Achilles, what more do you need to know? Although, if you do need to know more, I do actually have not only a video about narratives built on changing Greek mythology that is based around a reading of it on my channel, I also have a nearly 2-hour, I think, interview with Maya Dean, because Maya Dean turns out to be really cool. And we just had, a couple of chats, and it was great.
Pardon the interruption, Narcissus. Were you just speaking to your own reflection there?
So, Narcissus, of course, in love with his own reflection. In the myth, it's implied that he, doesn't realize that it's his reflection, so that interchange might not make quite as much sense. But also, they're playing around here with the concept of modern conceptions of narcissism and selfishness, and delusion, really.
I'm a little bit worried that the Chaos Boon that I took will actually bite me.
Well,
Normally it's not difficult for me to clear 3 encounters in 2 minutes, but I'm actually not that powerful right now. Where are you? And this is one of the slower mini bosses if you don't have that power. Let's do that.
Gently now.
Lula.
Picking a curtain.
So,
Okay, so I'm going to want to gift Ares here. Oop.
spiffy. Uh-oh. Lula, help. There's not much time left.
It's not so bad because I have Death Defiances, but I'd rather not. Ooh, just made it.
Gift.
Lord Ares, I know mortal warriors often bring their offerings to you before their battles to the death. I likewise wish to pay you my respects. No mercy for my foes.
Shouldn't have such a disruptive
High praise.
This I accept from you, my lord.
Yeah, and you
the
took
more-
your sweet time.
The more typical arrogance. So I did want to point out something I've been thinking about is I think the curving of those shoulder decorations there might be intended to be ram's horns. We tend to conflate Ares the god and Ares the constellation because we pronounce them the same in modern English, but they are not actually related at all. Aureus the ram is completely distinct.
I was thinking that with the red eyes, question mark, that it was maybe like a war elephant.
Huh. Well, that would be very unusual.
I mean, certainly not for Greece, but, you know, maybe for
For
Africa or
Carthage,
India.
yeah. So, I mean, the Greeks did have a lot of colonies and shared cities along the shore of North Africa. And remember that the ancient Mediterranean, a lot of the civilizations around there, Greece, Carthage, and Rome, for a long time considered sea and coastland more valuable than inland space. Because, especially for Greece, because they were not, big crop farmers or anything. They had these small city states to support individually. And the big inland empires, for them, were considered kind of strange and lackluster. I don't know. I'm not sure that's the word I want. So, having a lot of cities along the coast of North Africa was way more important to the Greeks than the idea of spreading inland in any direction. And that land was very fertile at that time.
Oh. I should have seen that coming.
So, since we have the subtitles here telling
Okay.
us,
I have been absolutely murdered.
I just wanted to point out that the sirens are singing, well, Scylla, but they're singing come to me," right? The
As long as it's written still.
just to, the sirens mythologically were lures onto rocks. Come to me makes a lot of sense. And notice that this isn't one of the songs that they sing when you're there.
It is the melody of the song, but the lyrics are much more,
Alluring.
yeah. And also we don't have the...
Battle to the death.
I was going to say the accompaniment.
Might protect you, my lord. In the name of Hades.
it is kind of fun to think of all of these as talent agents looking to sign musical groups.
Tula, where are you? Oops.
Did you just death-defy?
No, that was my armor running out.
Oh, okay.
Tula. Where are you? Tula is my main source of offense.
Really?
I don't know. It feels like it.
A little bit more honest in the lyrics here, yeah. I mean, she is very effective.
And she can deal damage while I stay out of harm's way. Which is, oh boy. Oh, there's a problem. I can't use Tula right now because there's too much other stuff.
I was gonna say, it's like, I don't think there's an out of harm's way when those things are on screen. Well, you got her.
I hate her.
Oh. Good job, Tula. Oh.
Tula, be my guest.
I think I've said this before, but I do really like the chitons because, of course, chiton is actually the Greek word for the short tunic. Well, not necessarily short, but in Mel's case, a short tunic. That people wear, and of course, in metaphor, that becomes the sort of armor that, for instance, bugs have. Chitin. And so it's a little sort of sluggy buggy critter with armor on top, and it's cute.
Typhon ground.
Pop.
Look for the markers. Snuggers.
The last thing that you need on a low damage run is some depression.
Yeah. keep waking her up just so that she stays near me. Although, maybe she,
Where is she?
I get to start.
You know I'm here.
I really don't know what to make of the attacks the Lamii do. They do look like witchcraft, don't they?
Area clear. That was all of them. Illuminate my path.
Oh, I don't really need that. I do need that. Wait. Here, wake up.
Next.
Come on, cat.
Ah. Yeah, this is just so slow. I'm taking a lot of damage. Also, this thing can heal, I believe, so it's even worse.
Dula got it.
All punished for now. Yes, accept this message.
Oh, echo, echo, echo. Little hunting horses.
Hello again, Echo. How have you been? How have you been? How have you been? How have you been? Oh, you know, this place sure has changed from the stillness that you've ever been. Like the only friendly place up there is that Narcissus.
Narcissus?
Wait, your voice. You know him. Oh no. No more suitors. No more here in the land of the broken-hearted. 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 Broken-hearted.
So what would I don't actually have that many levels in here. So that's not great. Sure.
For me, are you sure? Sure, yes, I accept this message.
Ooh, a duo.
I want that. Sure.
Oh yes, I was going to mention, Ares said something about Apollo being his half-brother.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Hecuba.
You're upset to mention my mistress, Hal. She goes.
Yes, so Ares is one of the two Olympians who is actually a son of Zeus and Hera, and the other being Hephaestus, of course. And so Apollo was Zeus's son by Wow. Her name just went out of my head.
Is it like Thea or?
No, it starts with an L, and the only one my brain is coming up with is Lita, which is not right. Okay. Wow. I feel silly having to look this up. Leto. Not Leda, but Leto. I believe that she was a nymph. I should have checked while I had that open. She's non-mortal of some variety. But Hera was, of course, very incensed by Zeus's betrayal and declared that she would not give birth on any place in any land that was rooted to the earth, and so she found an island that was floating on the sea to give birth to the twins Apollo and Artemis. I really should just look up the names of things when I'm talking about them. Leto's a Titan, daughter of Coeus and Phoebe. Phoebe being one of the words for light associated with Apollo, Phoebus, Apollo. Delos. Delos was the island that was considered floating on the water. And so there is actually a Homeric hymn to Apollo, which I don't think I've read in its entirety, but it's all about the birth of Apollo and Artemis, actually, and the exaltation of the island of Delos, which is still quite prominent. It's a beautiful island. Lots of ruins, shrine to Apollo, beautiful sunsets.
We vanquished Typhon and his little world. That means in short that I was not spied. And you called me everything.
This is going to be more useful than other Aries boon.
You have been complaining that you're low on health, or getting damaged a lot, I guess. In my experience, most cats' reaction to fear is attack, so... If only actual depression were so easy to shake off. interesting how much more wolf-like both Cerberus's aggravated form heads and the animations for that attack, where the head comes out of the ground, are than the sort of baseline Cerberus for these games. Like they've stripped all the fur off.
Thank you, Tula.
See, he's nice and shaggy and floofy.
Princess somehow soothes the savage beast.
I'm a big fan of Floof, what can I say?
Tuna the terrifying.
Yeah, good key.
That's that.
In a lot of Greek stories, and not without cause, the lion was the most terrifying of all natural beasts. So it's not at all ridiculous to think that they would think of cats as violent and warlike. Which is an interesting contrast, really, when you think about how cats are often depicted in modern media. And there's this really bizarre fascination that some overly gendered people have with, gendering cats as feminine and,
Not much farther now.
mysterious and irrational, and like all this gobbledygook. I mean, read Camille Paglia if you want to know more, but I don't advise it. But like you do see this, like people will assume that a cat is female and a dog is male, right? Like, which is completely the opposite assumption that you have in the Greek language, for instance, where ailuros is masculine and kune is feminine. Cool.
This is here. Awesome.
And dogs were very much, associated with, being good companions to humans, being hunting dogs. At one point, you have Athena calling Odysseus her hunting dog in the feminine as a compliment. Whereas when they think of felines, by far the most common feline ever mentioned in any Greek work is the lion, the most terrifying monster out there in the real world. The thing that if you bested one, you were an incredible fighter. And domestic cats really only came to Greece much later when Rome adopted bast worship. So, interesting, the assumptions that people make about things. And of course, cats are not all male or all female, neither are dogs, obviously. And the implications of such are entirely on humans, not on the animals themselves.
Just too much on this.
There we go.
Let's go talk to Dad.
Father? Have you found the seeds?
So pressed. No holidays. I never walked out of the woods to the Typhon if you even for them. Couldn't have done all this. Haven't been. Are you well?
Am I well? All my life I've been preparing for this moment to bring the usurper of the House of Hades to justice. So,
boons of Hades.
Well,
It is a narratively difficult subject. I mean, it's a difficult subject in real life, but hard to even write the emotions around the idea of having been separated from your child or your parent the whole time of growing. Of course, we have no idea how long that time was because gods grow at completely irrelevant rates. It makes sense that they can think separately from time because it has very little bearing on them.
at the same time, you know, Malinois is in a very Inigo Montoya situation.
You killed my father, prepare to die. Except, kill is
But
not
then at the end, well, but also, like, what happens if she achieves her task?
Yep.
There's not a lot of business in revenge.
Well, tell that to Nemesis.
Hello, where are you? Probably not worth trying to track her down.
She must be off to the right, because that's the only place you haven't been. There she is.
Ugh.
So many
laser
lasers.
beams. It makes no sense. Wait, there's still some. Frick.
No, ancient lasers were not a thing. No matter how many times the, weirdo crypto-Egyptology pseudo-archaeologist people try to pretend there were.
But Archimedes.
Not gonna talk to Charon.
Well, can't really say anything now, just sleep.
Not a particularly great gesture that I know of, but it's cute. It works well.
You've tortured and humiliated him. All this talk of how you had to learn how to buy your own age.
Oops.
Form of justice. One that reminds me a lot of that episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's why it's called Justice, because it's just us. That is not anything relating to the derivation of the word justice.
Although all of the different meanings of oops, of the word just, including injustice, are derived from the same. Oh my gosh, I'm just like walking into things. But like meanings of only and fair are both tied to the same source. Ah. Oh.
If I recall correctly, and I may not, please correct me if I'm wrong, since you seem to have this more to mental hand than I do. Use is sort of only, and then the only stance. Use Stytia is justice.
I don't know what you just said.
Okay. It's fine. I'll look it up later. Or I'll look it up right now.
I mean,
why not?
was AUS EUS what you were saying?
No, IUS.
IUS.
I think it's Latin. Go at him online.
If I could. Come on. Would it kill you to aim for Kronos?
No, Latin Justus, upright or just. So I am incorrect. From use a right or a legal law.
Oh no! Oh, whew. I mean, I have Death Defiances anyway, but that was close. Oh, wow, that.
So
Ooh,
apparently
that's-
the meaning of sort of only or precisely derives actually
Ah.
from later usage of the more legal connotation.
Took so long to kill those healing things that he's back. You know, it's like I didn't do any damage to him at all.
I don't know why I thought use was only. It's clearly law. My brain just is not all
Oh, boy.
firing on all cylinders today. Sorry about that.
Ugh.
Would you?
Oh, thank goodness.
I mean, it is a tough fight. There's a lot
Oh.
going on.
Tula. Oh, thank you, Tula.
Tula the Terrible! Yeah!
And I was only alive because of her last Death Defiance.
I mean, typically you curse the day that you sired her father, so, like, you know, I'm just saying. Victory!
Tula was my 5th best source of damage.
Really? Only 5th?
Yeah, I'm surprised. Also, apparently my cast was way up there. I was not expecting that.
Alright.
I have what I need for now.
Ooh.
I still remember flashes of this place.
That's that strange god power, because of course she was only here as an infant, but a god infant.
To the abyss of the subconscious I descend. It worked. Light and darkness come together to beyond the grasp of time.
Zagreus' thoughts standing in front of the mirror.
Yes, I don't think I can stop Aquarius here. Even Olympus is stuck trying to keep his forces at bay. He's far too hateful and hard-headed to stop his own.
Oh, just a little eating your children and then being carved up by them. Nothing too bad.
You're in a better position to ask for help than I am. Francis was a tyrant and his children wouldn't have it. But the fates themselves deemed the gods should rule. But that apparently wasn't enough for him.
Namely, Hades.
I have knowledge of the incantation known as dissolution of time. It requires several complicated steps. I shall explain them on the way. If it works, you should unravel him.
So it's pretty intense. Witchcraft does defy the laws of the land, or the laws of nature, as it were.
Make him. Destroy his ambitions along with him. Undo all the harm he caused. The Typhon family bond is required. You, me, and Aquarius. Then you shall infuse a special weapon with a negation of his very being. I'll get into that later.
Considering that he didn't know how to get along with his father for a very long time, that's perfectly reasonable.
I will note, if you played the game when it first came out, they did a subsequent patch to the story here, because it was kind of sort of an abrupt turn from, oh, we're going to have to kill Kronos, to mumbly mumble. And now we have a lot more things like Zagreus pushing back and such.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you, brother. Take care of yourself. And be kind to Mother, Father, Cerberus, and all for me. From mists of memory, return to Shadow now.
Dum, dum, da, dum.
Oh, this is my brother.
And we're back.
And that's a great time for us to end for the day. Thank you all so much for following along. I hope that you are enjoying the show. Hopefully we will be back next Saturday. But in either case, see you soon. And you know what? Keep learning, friends.